evening. Am I on? We're going to have a few changes tonight because of the presentation on the Eye on the Sky. I know I'm supposed to call it something else, but, you know, it's stuck. It's never going to change. So we're going to do that first, and then we'll go with the meeting. And so I'm going to turn it over to Mark Bozigian initially. So you got that? We're going to do the presentation first. We're going to take care of the media because a lot of them are from Los Angeles. So we'll take a break to do that, and then we'll start the meeting after that. For those of you who want to stay, fine. If not, come back in about 30 minutes.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I think it would be procedurally better if we convene the meeting, then go right to that presentation. Then you can recess while everybody clears and then go.
It's so confusing. Okay. We're going to call the meeting to order. Do you want me to take roll and do all that first? How far do you want me to go? Oh, we got to do the flag salute with the Girl Scouts. We'll do that. And we got to do the invocation, although we'd like you to stay for the presentation. And then we will do the presentation. We will not adjourn the meeting. We'll take a break in the meeting for the presentation. Right?
Just have the presentation at that point in time.
Okay.
Whether it's a break or it's just a presentation.
Okay. City Clerk?
This is a roll call for council and the authority. Councilmember Authority Member Christ.
Present.
Johnson.
Present.
Mann.
Present.
Vice Mayor, Vice Chairman Smith.
Here.
Mayor Chairman Paris.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Do you want to do the agency?
This is the roll call for the Redevelopment Agency. Agency Director Harvey. Present. Mann.
Present.
Zetto.
Here.
Vice Chairman Smith.
Here.
Chairman Christ.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. The invocation tonight is with Bishop Don Sather from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Our Father in heaven, we're grateful for this opportunity that we have of gathering together this evening. We're thankful that we live in a land where we do have the opportunity to vote and to participate in the governing process. We ask thee at this time that thou wilt bless us, especially as we enter into this holiday season, that we may have the spirit of giving and helping those that are less fortunate that are among us, that we may show our love and devotion to thee by helping our brothers and sisters around us. We ask thee at this time that thou wilt bless this meeting. Bless the council members and the mayor and the agency members that are here, that thou will continue to give them wisdom and guidance. We ask thee also at this time that those who will present their petitions this evening, that they may be able to articulate their positions well, and that they may be heard. We ask thee that thou wilt bless those that are here in attendance this evening, that as they return home, that they may find that all is well there. And we ask for these favors and blessings in the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thank you. Vice Mayor, you want to introduce the Girl Scouts?
Yes, we have a Girl Scout troop number 2022, and they're going to come and assist in the flag ceremony tonight.
Okay, we got to, let's turn her on. We got to face the flag.
Okay, who's going to announce it?
Okay. Who's going to do it?
Who's going to do it?
Okay, come on up. Come on up. We'll let you use the mic. Okay. I mean, we're going to do it. Let's do it right. Okay. What's your name?
Nicole.
This is Nicole. Okay.
Put your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Nicole.
Welcome.
Thanks, guys. Okay, Mr. Yeah, I guess I probably shouldn't have called them guys, huh? Okay. Mr. Bozigian.
Thank you all for being here. This is a real honor to announce this. What we will be doing is doing a presentation for the benefit of the public, and we'll also record this as well. After the presentation, we'll take about a 10-minute break in deference to the media. It is election night, and they're going to need to get out of here, and then we'll go on with the regular meeting, including this and all the other items. There's an old adage in politics, and that is that politics stops at our shores. That was used to say that foreign affairs and the military are above politics for the United States. The corollary in local government is public safety. Politics stops at public safety. The only thing that counts in public safety is results. That's what everyone should be judged by. And under this council's leadership, but not just the council and not just the mayor, but this community and this sheriff's department, crime is down, or will be down by the end of the year, 40% over the last 4 years. That's results. That has happened because we have a very aggressive council, sheriff's department, and community that's willing to take chances, that's willing to try and fail, because in trying you'll succeed more than you'll fail, and you'll certainly have success for trying. This again is another example and a project of which we're taking a chance, and we believe it will work. It should be judged on 2 criteria. Is it going to be successful, and does it make economic sense for this community? Does it have an economic development impact? I believe it does. And I believe it does because of 2 reasons. One, the folks we're working with. We've been down this road a couple times, and the deal just didn't quite work. And then right here in Lancaster, we have a firm, Spiral Engineering, who's created AeroView, that has a 15-year record of dealing with the U.S. military, aerospace, etc., in doing just what we wanted. But you'll hear in the details of the deals that it's more than that, it's economic development. And before I introduce Mayor Paris, I need to give the mayor some credit on this. In fact, I'm going to give him the credit on this. All ventures that are successful, in my opinion, are team ventures. No one person is successful or responsible for anything. But in this case, I can honestly say in the last 4 years, because I've worked side by side with the mayor on this, the mayor has been the driving force in this initiative. Again, as I said, we went down the road twice, and the deal wasn't right. And it took courage to say this is not quite right. And myself and the staff at this city and this council, we never give up. We may fail, but we never give up. But there were a couple times where it felt like we were close to maybe having to give this one up. And the mayor, time and time again, worked, made the connections, had the ideas, and I have to give him, and it's a pleasure to give him the credit for being the driving force for what we're going to launch this evening. So I'd like to introduce our mayor, Mayor R. Rex Paris.
Good evening. You know, I'm a little giddy about this. I'm excited. You know, it's been a long, long journey to get here. It started the day I got elected. Dick Rutan and I met, and we talked about the possibility of figuring out a way to put a Predator over Lancaster. I mean, you always got to start big, right? And Dick actually thought that was doable and proceeded to go about getting the authorizations and looking at the pricing and talking to the various people involved in it. And one day he called me up and said, you know, why would we spend $20 million we don't have to begin with on a Predator? The reason you have a Predator is people shoot it down. You're trying to save the pilot's life. And so that started us on another path of figuring out how to put this in the air on a regular aircraft. And Dick met with company after company that were involved in this. He put meetings together with us in the city, and we just couldn't get the price down to what was doable. It was still going to be millions and millions of dollars if they were willing to let us do it in the first place, because it is, classified technology. There's a lot of people that would like to get a hold of this. And so there was talk about giving up. Dick and I did not have that discussion, but other people did. And then I went to Frank Visco. And the reason I picked Frank is because Frank is able to take impossible things and get them done. I remember one time I called him up and said, Frank, we ought to look at this office building. And the next day he had a meeting with the president of the American Savings and Loan. I mean, he just executes. He gets things done. And he took a hold of this and he said, we got the people right here in the Antelope Valley that could put this together. And that was Spiral Technology. Spiral Technology, I'm sorry. And he put the meeting together with them and the Sheriff's Department, and Bob Johnson got involved. And next thing you know, we have this up in the air. We'll have it up in the air very, very shortly. And the reason this is so important is because it is another experiment on how do we drive the crime out of Lancaster. The Sheriff's Department has truly done incredibly innovative techniques to get where they are today. Most of the stuff that's happening in Lancaster today wasn't happening anywhere just 4 years ago. It's all new, the way they approach gangs, the way they approach burglary suppression, and different things of that nature. It's innovative people in the Sheriff's Department that took a hold of this idea. Normally, when a mayor goes to the Sheriff's Department and says they want to do something, they go, yeah, and, it just gets tabled. The sheriff has never been that way with the city of Lancaster, and we owe a tremendous amount of gratitude. They grabbed this project, and it should be fielded very shortly. And with that, I would like to introduce, who am I introducing? Bob Johnson. Bob Johnson, come on up, Bob. We're projected to have a 40% reduction. Bob has accepted the challenge to bring us down to 200 Part 1 crimes from a high of 476. That's, anybody can do the math, much greater than a 50% reduction. And we're going to get there. We're going to get there with things like this and some other things he's got planned for us.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. For clarification, he said I accepted it. I was directed to bring the crime rate down to 200, but I gladly accepted that the day I was appointed. This is a very exciting day. The Law Enforcement Aerial Platform System, LEAPS, which you'll see the presentation on this evening, can be summed up with 3 words: the ultimate safety tool. It is going to give our law enforcement teams the ability to fight crime even more effectively than ever before. From a public safety perspective, LEAPS will be able to follow a criminal's movement from altitudes from 1,000 to 3,000 feet above ground level. That's pretty amazing. It will obviously be able to do that both in day and night using visible and infrared technology to track the images. You'll see in a moment how it can zoom in, and it can really zoom in to give us substantial criminal evidence that a crime is occurring and help us direct our resources more effectively. This is, without question, a very effective, superior tool for surveillance, patrol, and investigative capabilities. It will dramatically strengthen what we already have in place within the community. What I want to make perfectly clear, though, is that the Sheriff's Department will control and completely control the data, the surveillance, and the operation of LEAPS. This is really important that you understand that we will communicate where the system goes, where it will track, and where we want it to shadow based on our calls for service. The imagery recorded by the system will be directly downloaded to the Sheriff's Department. We will only Sheriff's personnel will have access to that information and video that's downloaded by the aircraft. This is in place to ensure the citizens that their privacy will be protected and that all the constitutional laws that are in place today will be afforded to them. We are going to use this to our advantage to root out criminals, not just to be flying over and looking in your backyard. It will strictly be there for us to help us in responding for calls for service. Another amazing benefit that this tool will give us is the ability to go back and look into the storage system for possible evidence of a crime. So, for example, if we receive information of a crime that occurred in the past that we weren't initially aware of, we will now have the ability to go in, extract this video to see if there's evidence of that crime at that particular location. That's great resource for us. If the crime takes place at a different time, different place, it doesn't matter. We'll have 2 years of storage, so that's going to really help us out. Simply put, there's no downside to this crime-fighting tool. I am very excited, and our Sheriff's Department is very excited, to work with AeroView to further enhance the public safety of the City of Lancaster. Thank you.
That was well said, Bob, except you meant to say positively clear. Just kidding. With that, I'd now like to introduce Mr. Steve McCarter, President and CEO of AeroView LLC.
It's a great pleasure for me to address you tonight and describe how this system works. You've heard the requirements that the Sheriff's Department has on the system, and we have done our best to create a system that will meet their requirements at an affordable budget. We call it the Law Enforcement Aerial Platform System. Everyone has to have an acronym, so it's LEAPS. If you note on the wing strut, there is a camera system. It's fairly small, but that is current, state-of-the-art, off-the-shelf equipment. The system is made up of a single crew aircraft, just the pilot, since we don't need any observers because all the information goes to the ground, to the sheriff's station. On there, we have both infrared and optical cameras. We have the ability to zoom the camera to get a better view, and we can also fly down to about 1,000 feet to get a better view when there is a particular incident going on. All of the data, as Mr. Johnson said, goes to the ground. There's no data on the aircraft. The camera receives the images, the data are encrypted, and then they're sent over an RF link to the ground, where it is archived and has the ability to be retrieved. There's communications between the aircraft and the ground station for housekeeping type things, but the command uplink tells the aircraft where to go and the camera where to point. And then, as I say, the data taken are all sent directly back to the ground station with no information retained on the aircraft. That data can go into the to the storage system where it can be retrieved. We have an ability to retrieve like the last 2 years worth of data on a quick term basis, and data older than that goes into an archive where you can access the data based on the time that it was taken, the date and time, or the location where it was taken. So you can do a search on those two parameters. This is a view of the camera, of the optical camera, from about 3,000 feet, and you can see that it covers several blocks. We can zoom that approximately 25 to 1 to get a better view, and then if we need additional information on, say, persons that are fleeing the scene of the crime, we go down to 1,000 feet and basically loiter, although it's not a hover, it's a loiter in the vicinity of that particular object. We have minimum airborne staff. These were requirements that one was imposed in part by budget, and we're required to take imaging 10 hours a day, 7 days a week, and all control of the aircraft and cameras are done by law enforcement. no imagery is accessible inside the aircraft. And persons and their action are sufficiently visible from 3,000 foot above the ground. And if we, as I say, if we want more information on them, we go down to 1,000 feet. This is just a view of the cockpit of a Cessna 172, which we chose for this job because it's one of the most widely built aircraft. It is low on fuel consumption, and it's has a low maintenance record cost. As I said before, we capture the imagery. This is our lab where we build up the system and create the software that will control the system. And all that data then is, as I said, received and stored at the law enforcement facility. And as I've said a couple of times, we encrypt the communications back to the ground. We have a video of not our system because it isn't built yet, but the cameras being used. This is about 1,000 square foot, zoomed in, so they see the criminals escaping from the scene of the crime. You see policemen starting after them, and eventually these persons are tracked by someone in the aircraft. It's a little harder to track things from when you're riding in the aircraft. And the sheriff's station will actually do the tracking of the individuals, aided by a contrast tracker. And we keep track of these individuals until they are arrested. They go through the process, so we now have a track on them all the way from the scene of the crime to their arrest. As I've said before, all the data are specified by date and time, and also by geographic location. This is a sample of collage, really, of some of the data that are collected, and so that you can take this data and search on it by either date, time, or geographic location. We're a veteran-owned company, as is our parent that we spun off from, and we've been in Lancaster for more than 20 years supporting the aerospace industry. We particularly appreciated this opportunity to apply our engineering skills to a commercial product. We mostly work for the military, and so we are experienced in system engineering and integration, and working with the city of Lancaster and to protect the citizens here. I would like to say that this job was made somewhat easier than a normal military job by the fact that we were able to communicate with the Sheriff's Department and the city and get all the constraints and requirements on the system before we started our preliminary design. That exchange was just terrific, and that enabled us to meet the requirements with the system, and we again appreciate the opportunity. I would like to introduce our Spiral Technology President and CEO, Archie Moore, and Michael Scardello, who is our project engineer for this project. And he represents the engineering talent that we have assembled and have applied to this project. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Steve. like to just make a few closing remarks, and then we'll take about a 10-minute break. A couple of the deal points and what makes this exciting is that it's a benefit to the economy of the entire Antelope Valley. In exchange for the city's investment and being the first user of this product, the AeroView has agreed that Lancaster will be their headquarters, their world headquarters for this product. That's business development, point of sale, purchasing, all of the things that you would need, development, are going to happen in Lancaster. Also, the first 12 months of service for this, once it's launched in target date of April of next year, will be at no cost to the city. And the city and AeroView both benefit as this service is sold to other cities, counties, agencies, etc., by reducing the ongoing cost to the city of the system. So the more that this sells, the more wildly popular this is, the lower the cost to the city of Lancaster. So this is the world headquarters of a very exciting product, something that makes aerial surveillance affordable to mid-sized cities, counties, etc. A tool that up to now has only been affordable and only been able to be used by very large agencies or the military. So this is truly an exciting day. I believe we will look back on this day as a great day for public safety and economic development in the city of Lancaster. I would end by thanking Mayor Paris and the City Council, because it is not easy to continue to take chances. The easier thing is just to sit back and wait for things to improve. And this council and this mayor have never done that and never will. So with that, Mayor, I believe you want to take a break?
Yeah, I do want to point out, some people are probably asking, how is this any different than a helicopter? It's 1/10 the cost, if not more. I mean, we could never afford to field a helicopter 10 hours a day in the city of Lancaster. And most cities can't either. It's very rare, a city of this size, to have a helicopter, other than occasionally when there's a specific need for one. This is going to change law enforcement for cities our size and smaller throughout the country. There just isn't any question about that. We're going to have the capability of a city the size of Los Angeles for peanuts, essentially. And then the good news is, for every one we sell to another city, we get part of the, we get 5%? What? I thought we owned a piece of it.
At 60 sales, it's free.
Oh, so we'll get it for free. I'll take that. Good. And as it gets better and better, the cameras will get better and better as it, as the technology improves. Thank you. We'll take a break. We'll be back in about 15 minutes. What item is the Tapestry Commission? The Human Relations Commission?
CA1.
CA1. Let's move that to the top of the agenda. We'll move it right now. There's some people that have to leave. And then we'll go on with the presentations after that, okay? And I'm sorry for those of you getting presentations, I'm sorry to have to hold you. But that's just what we're going to have to do because of some people's schedule, okay? Good. Where is it? Okay. Sue Dell, do you want to come up? Sue is the chairman of the Human Relations Commission, also known as the Tapestry Commission. They've been working really hard with a lot of people on some things we have in store for everybody, and I'm going to turn it over to Sue. Okay.
Thank you, Mayor, City Council, Directors. May I invite my commission to the front?
Absolutely.
Standing the well, facing your audience. Several. The Tapestry Commission is formed at the request of Mayor Paris to address the softer side of Lancaster. We have the eye in the sky, and now you have your ears and
Sue, if you could use the mic, it'd be a lot better. Okay.
Everyone can always hear me.
But I'm deaf.
The Tapestry Commission has been created to help weave the diverse communities in this city, in this valley, so that everyone can feel welcome and a part of. May I introduce our Tapestry Commissioners: Vivian Kamori, Dr. Mark Marshall, Dr. Arisha Muhammad, your own delightful David Paul, and our applicant in waiting, Arturo Castagnon. David Paul is known to many of you as a learned speaker, very wise, and probably the man I've met in this valley with the largest heart. David took upon himself the opportunity, along with his able assistant, Dave Espinosa, to create an audio-visual presentation about Tapestry to let you know what we believe, who we are, what we think, and what programs we think will benefit this city and this valley. At this time, we ask that you turn your attention to our audio-visual presentation, which has been scripted and produced by the city's own David Paul and the able assistance of Dave Espinosa. We ask that you open your hearts and your ears and really listen. You'll see only captions, but you may hear something that moves you to help us weave this tapestry.
Life, thoughtfully and delightfully pursued, is as good as it gets. We are stronger together than we are apart. Inclusion strengthens our community, and celebrating diversity and difference tends to show us all how we are more alike than we are different. That is what builds the fabric of a healthy, thriving community. That is the mission. That is Tapestry. Our mayor, R. Rex Paris, is committed to promoting diversity and advancing human rights and human dignity. I know that for our mayor, Tapestry is more than a commission. It's a mission to pull people together. There is so much in life that pulls us apart. Only if we aim to pull back the frayed threads of humanity into the common fabric of society that strengthens us all for the effort, only then can we succeed. The real upside is that what you are left with is a fabric more colorful, more secure, and more enriching for everyone than ever before. This is the tapestry we in the city of Lancaster seek to weave.
The mission of the City of Lancaster's Tapestry Commission is to celebrate our uniqueness, embrace our common points of view, and to create opportunities to flourish.
There are many beautiful ways to be different. In Lancaster we say, let's see what you got for us. We invite you all to come and delight our city with a special look into your unique heritage, culture, or perspective.
Sometimes the things that drive people apart are simple misunderstandings that vanish with clarification. If people are willing to open their minds, their hearts soon follow. Rancor and accusation close both the mind and the heart. We will give people an informal, supportive setting to clear up the misconceptions that divide us. We do this as a first line of support instead of a last. All we ask is that you come willing to listen and to present your concerns so people can not only listen, but hear what you are saying. Everyone grows, and our community grows from this type of informal, non-contentious dialogue.
What good is forgiveness if we can't give people a second chance? I've never met a single person that didn't know someone that has turned their life around. And I can say that with absolute confidence because by talking to me, they are meeting someone who has.
In the city of Lancaster, we believe in second chances and focusing on what a person has to contribute in the present and in the future. We want people to feel included and welcome, as well as to know the joy that comes from actually contributing to your community. But that is hard to do when you can't find a job.
People who have turned their lives around but have a criminal conviction on their record find an extraordinarily difficult hurdle to employment because of a mistake they made 5, 10, or 20 years ago. These are the people Tapestry's expungement program seeks to assist.
Our criteria is strict. We are not helping criminals beat the system, and this service is not available to anyone convicted of a violent crime. We are offering a chance for the truly worthy to remove a stain on their record that prevents them from fully rejoining the fabric of society. We want to welcome them home with full honors. That is how we weave our tapestry. Please enjoy this story of someone who has turned her life around, our first candidate for an expungement petition.
I was born in England. I came to America when I was 18 years old. Wasn't raised with my father, but I came to live with him. Things didn't work out between myself and my father. I wanted to meet my older sister, who resided in California. That did not go as planned. She was jealous of a man, and I found myself on the streets, homeless and alone. I found myself with two options. One was through selling my body, and the other was through selling drugs. I chose not to sell my body due to my dignity, morals, and values. However, I wish I had applied the same to the drugs. I was unaware of the cunning of people. I had an opportunity to sell this one deal that would pay for me to fly back to England. It didn't quite go as planned, and you can only imagine how my heart sank when I was swarmed by police, arrested, and now facing jail time. When I got out of jail, I found strength in spirituality, where people would help me through this trying time. I also came across many strangers that opened up many doors of opportunities for me. One door is when I ended on the church doorstep of First Missionary Baptist Church. Since my time in jail, I have two beautiful children, one of which is in the Seoul High School program, which is an early college high school, and the other one is in 4th grade, doing excellent in academics. I also have gone on to further my education. I have completed my AA degree in Social and Behavior Studies. I am going on now to complete my bachelor's degree in sociology. I've also tried to foster a child. However, this felony is prevailing and preventing me from doing so. I am very, very, very thankful to Mayor Rex Paris and the Tapestry Commission, along with former Mayor Bishop Henry Hearns, for giving me this opportunity and hope to know that there is a brighter future for me, regardless of the mistake I've made in the past. And I just want to extend my gratitude and grateful appreciation to all that was involved that have allowed me and helped me to overcome this obstacle.
Could the representatives, please, of the Kingdom Building Fellowship United We Stand stand? Pastor Aaron Duncan, Pastor George Todd, Bishop and former Mayor Henry Hearns. Please join me in providing support for and now presenting our first candidate for an expungement petition, Alicia Bayule Hearns.
Mr. Mayor, City Council, all of the staff, and everyone who is here. I need to say that a few years ago, our president, one of our presidents, President Kennedy, who made a statement, I hope I don't get too emotional about this, but he said, ask not what you can do, what the country could do for you. What can you do for your country? And Rex Parrish, if you'd allow me to say that affectionately, came on board and took over the city and didn't ask the city what the city could do for him, but what can I do for my community? Now, ladies and gentlemen, and this was not scripted by anybody. This is just my heart, and most of you all know Henry, that he'll just speak what he feels and take the punishment if there's any coming. But I'd like to say this, that there was a lot of things has been said and is still being said about the prejudices that is in our two cities, and in particular our mayor. But I have known him not just since he's been mayor, but years before that. And so I want to say to you, Mr. Mayor, and to the Tapestry, I really appreciate you all making the decision to step out and say, what can we do to make our community better? Now, one of the things that was not known when this started, we did not know that we were going to receive approximately 3,000 inmates back into our community, like it or not. It's going to happen. Now, if these people cannot get jobs with any little mark behind them, but with this program that our mayor and the Tapestry is presenting, it would allow those people who are deserving to have an opportunity to move that stigma to where they can go to work. So I would really want to have you to know, Mr. Mayor, doggone it, I sure do appreciate it, and City Council, and to the Tapestry, and to all of you, and I hope that the community will receive these people who has gone through their marks that they put against their community and their city, clean up themselves, and are now ready to say, not what can the mayor and the city do for me, but now that those marks are removed, what can I do for my city? So, Sue, thank you. Thank you so very much for allowing that to happen.
Finally, if you're interested in sponsoring a candidate for a petition to the court for expungement, please contact City Manager Mark Bozigian, because unfortunately, the courts don't operate for free, and people who want to put in an application have to pay a petition filing fee. And we'd be happy to help them. We just need additional support, so if you're so moved, please let us know. Also, if you'd like to volunteer a little time as a mediator and you have that training, please also contact the city manager. If you are in need of an expungement and believe that you may qualify, you may complete a questionnaire. I'll be putting them in the back of the room. We're working closely with the paralegal program of the University of the Antelope Valley paralegal program. They're helping us work through the applications, and we're sitting on about 10, and we'd like to be sitting on about 100. We'll help put them through if they qualify. So if you know people, you can get an application from us, from the city, or from the back of the room. Finally, we will be seating another Tapestry Commissioner, and if you believe you represent the needs of this diverse community, and keep in mind that a lot of diversity is invisible, you just don't know who you meet. And if you're a hard worker with good ideas, there's an application for the commission online at www.cityoflancasterca.org. Under commissioners, we'll be happy to look at your application, and thank you for your time.
You know, it's really unfair to everyone else when there's a mayor, because I get to take the credit for what so many other people are doing. You know, our redevelopment agency and city council, they work their fingers to the bone on this stuff. And then you have people like the Tapestry Commission that just wanted to help and do something of value to help their city. The thing I'm seeing in Lancaster that keeps growing and growing and growing is we're putting aside the people who complain about everything and the people who want to do something that's beneficial to bring our neighborhoods together and to bring the people together to have a vibrant city within which to live. They're starting to come forward, and we're seeing that every single day. And as a result, we're reaping rewards that we can actually see. All you have to do is walk down the center of town to see. I think that the boulevard symbolizes what's happening in every one of our neighborhoods, and it's world changing is what it is, and it will continue to go in that direction. The Captain Johnson, if you want to come down, we have the deputies for the quarter. These are the people that risk their lives every single day to keep us safe. And as I become mayor, I've got to watch more and more what they do. You know, they will never get the appreciation for what they do every single day that makes all of our families safe. And with that, I turn it over to the captain.
It's as the mayor said earlier, with a 40% reduction over 4 years, as the captain of Lancaster Station, I can't stand here and take credit for that. It is the hardworking men and women of the station that serve your community every day that you get all the credit for that, because they are doing it. They're taking their time away from their families, and they're doing their absolute best. And each quarter, we recognize 5 individuals from the station. And you have to remember, this is the largest station in the county as far as personnel, so we have a lot to select from. But these individuals have really gone far above and beyond what is expected of them during the last quarter. So I appreciate the time to recognize them, because they definitely deserve it. Our first deputy of the quarter from our day shift is John Amos, and he's just done an amazing job. He's one of our FTOs, and his averages are well above the rest for that shift, and he's one of my top producers, and I highly appreciate him. So John, why don't you come down here? Go ahead and stay here. And then from our PN shift is Greg Whalen. And again, he's been there for several years. It's a brother combination. His brother Tom's here as well. They both work there. They're a huge asset as far as experience goes for Lancaster Station. And the last quarter, he has really jumped off the radar and solved some great crimes, done some excellent follow-up, especially with some of our graffiti problems and one of the arrests. And then he had a robbery arrest with one of our businesses that he was able to apprehend the suspect. So his efforts have been greatly appreciated. So Greg, can you come on down here and be recognized for the PM Street Cop of the Quarter? And then from our early morning shift, which I don't get to on a daily basis because they're out there while everybody else is sleeping. But again, an individual that's done a great job over the past quarter, his averages. And when I say the averages, the way these are figured out, they look at all the work that they've performed, from the amount of calls for service, the amount of individuals they've arrested, citations, which I know none of you like to hear, but those are one of the things that's factored in, and their observations. So they stay extremely busy. And for our early morning shift, it's Deputy Carr, and can you come down here and be recognized? And And while all these individuals are out there taking your reports, taking people to jail, writing citations, and doing what you ask them to do, somebody has to follow up with all that information, and that's where our Detective Bureau comes in. So each quarter we recognize an investigator of the quarter, and the last quarter was extremely busy for this particular investigator. He had several high-profile cases, attempt murder cases that he was tasked with investigating, did an outstanding job, got to the bottom of it, arrested the individuals responsible for it, protected the victims, and relocated them as necessary. So I'd like to bring down Brad Feehan as our investigator of the quarter. And then, as I always do, I save the busiest for the last, and that's our professional staff. These are individuals that by far work harder and longer than anybody at the station, and this individual was the top of everybody's selection for this past quarter, because as all of these individuals are doing their job, somebody has to book 1,000 apiece. We average about 1,000 pieces of evidence that comes into the station every month that has to be booked, tracked, relocated, stored, and everything else. And she does an amazing job in doing that. She's one of the top evidence custodians in the county in keeping track of it and accounting for everything. And I have to tell you, we couldn't do it without her. So Veronica Braun, can you come up and be recognized? And this is it. These are our 3 street cops of the quarter, our investigator of the quarter, and our professional staff of the quarter. So thank you very much for recognizing them. Thank you, sir.
You know, everybody loves firemen. We just do. We just love them, right? But in many respects, they're not heralded enough for what they're able to accomplish, especially in the Antelope Valley. When you think about how budgets have been just slashed, you know, throughout the county, the fire department was no exception. They've had insurmountable challenges. But recently I had the opportunity to see how well they're able to do things with so much less. And my wife called them because I was lying on the floor unconscious. And when they got there, they asked her, how long has he been that way? And she said, about 7, 8 minutes. And they go, well, you only called 1 minute and 12 seconds ago. You know, time slows down when you're in that situation. But 1 minute and 12 seconds from the time she called till the time they got there. I mean, where else in America can that happen? That is truly remarkable. And Jim, why don't you come on down? Jim Cross has been the assistant fire chief for the last 12 years. His career has been 30 years with the fire department. And he is one of the few people who's primarily responsible for bringing in the 21st century and making that fire department work when it shouldn't be working. You know, we should be hearing problems, and we don't hear them. Somehow they're able to make it happen. When I first got elected, I went up in the helicopter, and they were showing me all of the stations and the things they do. And it is truly amazing, the level of organization that is behind the scenes every single day. You know, when the units are tied up here, they're moving them up from Santa Clarita, and then they're moving them from San Fernando to Santa Clarita. They're constantly moving units around so that you can have 1 minute and 12 second response times, which is record breaking. And that has been because of the leadership of you and a few others, and you're going to be sorely missed. But in addition to running a fire department like a clock, and it really is a well-tuned clock that you're running. I'm probably mixing my metaphors. Jim is also the associate pastor of Valley Bible Church in Lancaster, California. And he doesn't hesitate to help us grow a Christian community, do you? Thank you. And so, on behalf of the City Council, we have a commendation for you. You want to bring your wife down? Yeah. Okay. Whereas throughout his career, Jim Cross has displayed exemplary conduct and dedication to duty that has merited praise and commendation. Now, therefore, the Lancaster City Council commends Jim Cross for his exemplary service to the Los Angeles County Fire Department and congratulates him on his retirement. More importantly, we want to thank you from the City of Lancaster for keeping us safe.
Well, first of all, thank you, Mayor, and thank you to the City Council and the city staff. Mark Bozigan, your staff are just outstanding. The year that I worked up here in this capacity just went by like a flash. Tremendous things, I think, happened on all ends, and I'm very thankful to have worked with all of you. And contrary to a lot of people that retire that leave the city or California because they're unhappy with things, Debbie and I are rooted here for the rest of our lives. We'll probably be buried in Lancaster Cemetery. We've been here 40 years. Our grandkids are here, and I've worked half my career out here in Lancaster, and it's been a great run. I know Robert and I go back way back with fire prevention issues as usual, but we've had a good relationship over the years, and I appreciate that. And I also want to just take a second and acknowledge Bob and his staff with the Sheriff's Department as well. I took the opportunity last Saturday, to ride with my son, who's a captain with the fire department, at 33s here. And for those of you that don't know 33s, they're the busiest fire station in the county. Bob mentioned he's got the busiest station. We do too on the fire side, and that's 33s here. And I had forgotten, because I've been in management for a dozen years, and I'd forgotten how much they, number one, put up with, quite honestly, in some of the areas of the community, and then some of the things that they have to actually deal with. And I know we had a call after midnight on the east side, and it was an assault call, and so we don't go in until the sheriff clears the area for us. So Bob, thanks all these years for covering our back. I appreciate it. We sat on the corner while his troops went in there and made sure the scene was safe for us to go and render aid to the folks. But it's been a tremendous pleasure living in the community. We're going to stay here, so hopefully we'll stay involved, and I appreciate the recognition. Thanks, Mayor. Appreciate that. Thank you.
We now come to the athletic portion of the program, and so I guess this would be a great time to introduce the NBA superstar in our midst. And Frank Visco has brought Kiki Vanderway to the Antelope Valley. And Kiki, if you want to stand up and say hello to the folks. And I'll be selling the chance to get autographed pictures of him later. And no, I'm kidding. But he is available for that at the end of the meeting for all of those who stay. Is Peyton Gore here? Come on down here. This is a remarkable young woman. I mean, truly remarkable. Thank you for coming. Peyton goes to Quartz Hill High School. She won third consecutive Golden Leg Championship in singles tennis. So does that mean 3 years in a row? That means you started winning when you were a sophomore. And she's only a junior, so she's got to get 4, obviously. She's a member of both National Honor Society and the California Scholarship Federation. And this is the amazing part. She's the all Golden Leg champion. Imagine the hours and hours and hours she has to devote to tennis. And she still has a 4.6 grade point average. Who does that? That is incredible. See how we raised them in Lancaster? She hopes to obtain a master's degree in either nursing or anesthesiology or pre-med. And on top of all of that, she volunteers her time to raise money for cancer research. Can we bring her parents down here? I mean, how can we honor you without honoring the parents that made you possible? Here's the commendation. She's the Mayor's Athlete of the Month, and with that, you get a $1,000 scholarship. If you'll see Mark at the end, he'll tell you how we go about doing that. Okay. Can we get a picture?
Of course.
Congratulations. Thank you. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, the consent calendars consist of items of routine business for which minimal or no discussion or special presentation is contemplated or required. These items may be acted upon as a whole with one motion, a second, and a single vote. If you desire to speak on an item or items on the consent calendar, you may fill out one speaker card for the consent calendar. You will be given 3 minutes to address your concerns before the agency or council takes action on the consent calendar. All speaker cards must be filled out and submitted prior to the consent calendar being called. This same rule applies if you wish to speak on other items on the agenda and non-agendized items at the end of the meeting. Following this process will allow us to conduct a timely and orderly meeting. Thank you. City Manager, any items to be removed?
No, sir.
Oh, did I skip over the redevelopment agency? Are we good to go on that? Okay, good. Oh, now I turn it over to Chairman Christ.
Do we have a motion and a second for the adoption of the agency minutes?
So moved.
I second that. Do we have any speaker cards?
No speaker cards.
Let's vote. It's 4 to, and Kitty's abstaining. Thank you. Are there any items to be pulled for discussion? Do we have a motion to an adoption of the redevelopment agency consent calendar?
So moved.
Second.
Are there any speaker cards?
No speaker cards.
Let's vote. Five to nothing. We're going to move on to RNB 1. We're going to hear, do we have any speaker cards?
There are no speaker cards.
Can we waive the staff report?
Yes.
Do we have a motion?
Actually, Agency Director.
Okay.
I just have a quick question for the City Manager. Can you, Mr. Bozigian, can you give us an update on the enforcement obligation payments?
Yeah, I think I'd actually like to have Ms. Boswell do that if that's okay.
That's fine.
Better. Good evening, Chairman Chris and agency directors. The item before you at this time is recommending adoption of a resolution amending our previously adopted enforceable obligation schedule. As you may recall, as part of the state's budget, they adopted ABX 1X26 to dissolve redevelopment agencies. And one of the actions required by cities as part of that bill is to adopt what's called an enforceable obligation payment schedule. All payments that are made by our redevelopment agency must appear on the schedule before the payment is made. As you know, being in business, that our payments aren't stagnant. We can't predict in June or July what we're going to be paying necessarily in September and October. So we've had to bring this schedule back to you regularly, once a month at least, to amend it in order for us to legally make payments that we hadn't predicted previously. So that is the purpose of the item before you now, is to amend the schedule that you had adopted last month. And at this time, there is still a lawsuit pending against the state. There is live hearings on Thursday, I believe, oral arguments in that case. So we still don't know at this point what the outcome of that will be, and we hope to know before the middle of January. And I'm happy to answer any other questions you may have.
Do you have any other questions?
No, thank you.
Do you have any questions?
No, thank you. I'll wait to the end until we make a movement.
Okay. Do we have a motion?
I move that we adopt resolution number 20-11.
Do we have a second?
A second.
Let's vote. 5-0. I'm going to turn the meeting back over to Mayor Paris at this time. Did you want to?
Actually, I do have a question now. She just led into my question with the staff report. You know, just having been on the redevelopment agency for less than a month now, trying to bring myself up to speed, and I know that there's an existing lawsuit with the California Redevelopment Agency along with the California League of Cities, and just wanted to find out if there was a status that we could provide to myself and the public just to where we are today.
Right. As Mrs. Boswell mentioned, the lawsuit is pending. The Supreme Court has scheduled oral argument on the lawsuit for Thursday morning of this week, and that is televised live over. The Sierra. Well, it's on the Sierra website. It's on Cal TV, and you can access that from any computer and watch the oral arguments. Sometimes you can tell from the oral argument where the court's going, and sometimes you can't. It'll just depend, but it'll be interesting to listen to the questions and the gist of where they're going with the questions. But trying to speculate on an outcome based on that is very risky. So I wouldn't do that, but I am interested in listening to some of the questions being asked of various parties by the members of the court. The court has indicated in the past that it would have a decision by January 15th. Given the timing of the hearing at this point, I really would anticipate that they will have a decision before January 15th, maybe even this year. But, you know, they've carved themselves out enough time to really debate it internally and prepare the necessary rulings before they announce the decision. So as we hear more, I will provide an additional update.
Thank you.
I'm going to turn the meeting back over to Mayor Paris at this time.
Thank you. Any items on the Housing Authority consent calendar to be pulled? Is there a motion?
I move that we adopt resolution number HA03-11.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Let's vote. It's unanimous. Before we go to the council consent calendar, is there a motion to approve the minutes from last week?
So moved.
Second.
Let's vote. That's 4 yes. I was absent, so I abstained. The council consent calendar. Anything to be pulled? Pull CC7 for me. I'll be recusing myself on that, right?
I just have a comment on CC10.
CC10. Anything else? Any speaker cards?
I didn't want to pull CC10.
Yes, there's 2 speaker cards, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, for everything other than CC7 and CC10, let's go ahead and do that. Nicole, you're up.
What do you want me to talk about?
You put in a speaker card for the consent calendar.
Does anybody want to ask me any questions or have any?
Nicole, you know how it's done. Do you have anything to say?
Yeah, well, yes, I would like to say one thing. I'm working with Public Works and planning, and making sure that, because, you know, I specialize in generalizing and making and then to specific plans, Mayor, the specific plans. So I just been hanging out at the counter and stuff. And so one thing that I found out is, one thing I pretty much approved Mr. Natler's and the new sewage plant coming through, except I don't know about now, since I seen the public notice of what's going on with District 40 today, he and I didn't talk about that part, and I still don't know how that part ties in which we're really, I'm really sort of protective of our groundwater because of the fact that Japan spill, it runs into the river, and then eventually, I don't know now, or because we came up with 700 billion children right now, and then they said some plumes or something are going to come in 15 years or something, but the integrity of the water that feeds our crops and our livestock. So, and the fact that some places have too much brine and have been recycled through the river too much, that our groundwater is very important to the future of our health. Even though radiation may take like 30 years to show up, well, that's a 30-year problem. Housing, well, and then planning the overlay, I came up with there's a beer, wine, turf, bar band.
Thank you, Nicole. Michael Reeves.
Mayor Paris, council, staff, ladies and gentlemen. I'm speaking about CC3 monthly report of investments that's submitted. On my last time up here, I commented that it would be nice if the finance director prepared a report with graphs and statistics, and I'm pleased to learn that she's done this all along, and I didn't know about it. I was informed by the city manager, and I want to commend her on this attachment A. It has all the amounts of money, CDs, and federal securities. And with the consent of the city manager, Barbara is going to sit down with me and go over it so I can understand it further. And I just want to commend her for it's a really good report. And I apologize if I criticized you and didn't know it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is that it on the speaker cards?
It's in the speaker card for the consent calendar.
Any questions? Is there a motion?
I'll move that we adopt the consent calendar as currently comprised.
Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
Let's vote. It's unanimous. CC7, I'll turn the meeting over to Vice Mayor Smith. I'm recusing myself because I own property within the area.
Okay, let the record reflect that the mayor has left the room and recusing himself. Do I hear any motions on CC7 or any discussion at this time?
Move to approve CC7.
Do I hear a second?
I second.
Call for a vote. And if we could have the mayor come back into the room.
Are you pulling this?
I am not.
Just to discuss it.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Johnson, did you need to recuse yourself?
Yes, actually, Mr. Mayor, I didn't want to pull CC10 from the calendar. I just wanted to make a comment on it.
Oh, okay.
I did originally pull it the last meeting, and that's because I still had a few questions before I could give an honest vote. And I wanted to thank the staff from the City of Lancaster for their patience and their honesty with my wide range of questions. But during that time, I was able to discuss some of our solar incentives with the staff. I also had the opportunity to meet with Edison and discuss some of our concerns with the city regarding our our project approval timelines. So with all of this information I was given, I'm very comfortable moving forward with this item.
Okay, thank you. Is there a motion?
Move to approve CC 10.
Is there a second?
Second.
Let's vote. It's unanimous. Okay, open the public hearing regarding PH1. Staff report, Elizabeth Brubacher. Baker.
We have no speaker cards on PH1.
Okay, want to waive the reading?
Yes, that'd be nice.
Is there a motion?
I'll move that we adopt resolution number 1178.
Second?
I'll second that.
Let's vote. Marvin, I didn't get your vote. It's unanimous. New business item 1. Mr. McEwen, did you want to deal with that?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, the new business number 1 is the adoption of resolutions calling our next general municipal election and setting that process in motion. These are standard resolutions required by the Elections Code and required by for the council to take action on tonight so that we can hold the election in the spring.
Thank you.
Let me add one thing to that, because after the last election there was some concerns expressed by a variety of people about how that was what happened during that process. I would note that a lawsuit was filed and then subsequently dismissed by the courts. How we handled that election was completely in accordance with state law. But there were some things that were tightened up after that, processes, and those processes have been incorporated into the process for the next election, both verifying addresses and the location of addresses within the community. So I think that's an important thing to iterate tonight to make sure that everybody is aware that we are paying very close attention to that detail for the next election.
Thank you. Any questions?
No questions at this time.
Maureen Feller.
Evening. That court case wasn't dismissed on its merits. It was dismissed because it wasn't heard in the fashion that it was required to be heard in, the time that it was required to be heard in by a California election law. That being said, we, the citizens of Lancaster, voted quite a few years ago to incorporate our elections with the state and county elections, and you guys have ignored that vote by the people ever since. Why do you insist on holding a special election that we could have incorporated today and saved us quite a bit of money? Thank you.
Nicole Parsons. God is good. Is there a motion?
I move that we adopt resolution number 11-72, 11-73, 11-74, and 11-75.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Let's vote. It's unanimous. Okay, new business item number 2, Mr. Bozigian.
Thank you, Mayor Parrish, City Council members. I think everyone that's in the audience here and the council saw the presentation earlier in the evening, so I would just highlight that what you're asked to do right now, recommended, is to approve an acquisition and management agreement between the City of Lancaster and AeroView for the LEAP system. As I mentioned before, I think some of the exciting aspects of it beyond public safety are the fact that this unique business that I think is going to, a lot of cities and counties will take advantage of, will be headquartered in Lancaster, point of sale. All the purchasing will be done here, and that will be for a 10-year period, and also in exchange for our partnership, which is essentially a $1.3 million investment in the equipment. We get the first 12 months of the service at no cost, and then participate with the company as their successful cost to the city goes down. I think there's also some spin-offs on this. The mayor mentioned them, which I think is exactly what's going to happen, is we'll be able to incorporate additional technology in it as well, too. It's a very exciting time. We're extraordinarily pleased to be the first city that will use this system, and we're happy to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions?
Yes, actually I do. You're absolutely right. It's a very exciting time, and it is truly amazing that we're able to do this here in our city. I'm just a bit unclear on a certain area, and that would be this system. What would be the difference in this system compared to a Google Earth or a news helicopter broadcasting images of our backyard? What would be the difference of this system?
That's an excellent question, which I would like to turn over to our city attorney.
Wonderful.
Yeah, there's very little difference, actually. The Fourth Amendment of the U.S. Constitution allows people to view what can be viewed from a public vantage point that a person has the right to be in. For example, if you were driving down the street and looked into somebody's yard and could see it from the street, you can use the images from that for any purpose, including law enforcement purposes. The same would be true with overflights and aerial surveillance. If you can see it from the air, then you can use it. What you can't do is use special technology to see into areas that aren't visible from the air or from the ground. That would constitute an unreasonable search and seizure under the Fourth Amendment. But the courts have, the U.S. Supreme Court has held repeatedly that aerial surveillance, and so where you can see in without utilizing some special equipment to see through walls or to investigate, you can use to use the court's term, you can use the fruits of that surveillance to support a subsequent search warrant in which you would then go in and do the ground search. I'm giving an example of one case where they concluded that you couldn't do it, and that was where they used infrared technology to detect the heat signature from the growing of marijuana, where they have heat lamps inside a house where there was a reasonable expectation of privacy within the house. You can't use special equipment to see through the walls and to detect that. But if that same growing was occurring outside in the yard where it was open to the sky, then seeing down visually on that, you could use that kind of image. You can take pictures of it, even with high-resolution cameras, radar, and that. You can use that information, and that's not treated as a search. The other key ingredient here is that this technology is being handled and controlled by the Sheriff's Department and will be largely used by the Sheriff's Department in response to calls for service. When a citizen calls in and says they're seeing a crime in progress, or they've got evidence of a crime in progress, then they will direct the aircraft and the cameras to that location to detect and to follow, as we saw in the video, to follow the suspects to ensure that we're able to apprehend them.
Thank you very much, Mr. McCune. I appreciate that. And I'd like to comment, though, that I do support and always will our sheriffs and what they do so we can get the bad guy or bad girl, whatever the case may be. Thank you.
You know, if they look in my backyard while I'm sunbathing, that's a horrible sight. I mean, we're going to have to get our workers' comp premiums up, aren't we?
It'd break the camera.
I'm not going to comment on that.
Thank you very much.
I have a couple questions. Can you talk about the response time, the difference, what it will do as far as response time, what our response time is, and how it will cut it down, and what that means?
Yeah, and I appreciate that because we did fail to mention that. For example, now even a emergency response, the average is about 5 minutes, give or take. It's maybe a little bit less. But what this will allow was eyes in seconds on the scene. As an example, if right now you said there's an incident at a high school, the sheriff would roll all units to that, but it could take 5 minutes to get an eye on it. With this system, if you say there's an incident at a high school, they can literally, with a mouse, click on the high school or put an address in, and in less than 10 seconds, likely in less than 5 seconds, you will have a visual of what's happening, and you can react accordingly.
So this basically prohibits bank robberies from taking place, so as soon as the alarm is hit, within 10 seconds, there'll be eyes on the bank?
I'd probably defer that to Bob, but I believe you're right, because when the alarm goes off, there'd be eyes on, and there'd be a video evidence of anyone who is leaving that bank, and they'd be able to track that car forever.
And what I heard earlier, that they can go back and take a look at, say someone did graffiti on a wall, they can go back and see when that graffiti would take place and where that individual went back to their home?
I would believe so if the evidence was on the tape or on the system. But yes, you have the ability to go back. They said 2 years, but they actually keep it forever. But 2 years is accessible immediately, and beyond that, it would be archived.
Are there any dual controls as far as who supports it? Is an individual, one individual going to run it at the sheriff's station, or is there going to be a monitor in the one office and then another one in the captain's office?
That I don't know, and I'd have to defer. I don't see if Bob's here or not. But do you want to?
It's going to be equipped with just one monitor that will be in the dispatch center, so everything's right there, readily available. They can start dispatching units based on what they see on the screen.
How do we make sure this isn't abused?
Well, the reason it's set up the way it is just to ensure that it's not abused. That only based on calls for service, the watch deputy will be there overseeing everything, and he'll be directing the leads on where it should be dispatched and where the camera should be focusing on. So we have mechanisms in place to make sure it's not just accessible to anybody who walks in and wants to take a look at the video.
And one last question. Have we talked to the people at Plant 42 or Edwards in regards to the security when they fly over, if it will penetrate their security?
Not to get into some of the details, but yes, the folks that we're working with at Spiral have a very good relationship with all of the military and those installations, and they've already working with them on that. Also in terms of the encryption as well, too.
You can assure us that it won't inhibit their security?
I can assure you, yes, absolutely.
I'm good.
Me too.
Okay. Any other questions? Good. Let's go to the speaker cards. Michael Reeves.
Mayor Paris, council, staff, ladies and gentlemen. I'm a former LAPD reserve officer. Many times I was out in the field, and thank God for air support to come by with their helicopters and shine up the area where we would know what was going on. I'm against this proposal for this plane. The mayor says we don't have the money to support a chopper in Lancaster, and I just got up a few minutes ago and was discussing the budget. We have millions of dollars that we could use to support a chopper. The airplane is going to capture images, and then the officers are going to respond to it. That's what it says. They're going to respond to calls. The people you saw up here getting the awards are human beings. They're men with families. They deserve more than 300 hours out of a month to be covered by this thing. It's only going to be covered half a month. It's going to cost us $300 an hour. It focuses on trouble spots where somebody is called in and there's a problem. The best remedy for a trouble spot is the chopper. The chopper lightens up the whole area where you can see what's going on. If the suspects try to leave the area, there's a perimeter put up, and you can get the suspects that way. This thing is going to capture the images after somebody's called, and then the officers are going to be out there in the dark. I'm sorry, I don't support it. I think and we're going to put ourselves, we're going to play around with this for a year, and we're going to jeopardize people's lives in the field. Believe me, I know everybody's concerned about parolees in this city. I'm concerned about it. But as far as I'm concerned, one officer is worth 1 million parolees. And whatever money we can come up with to support choppers in this town, I am in favor of. I am not in favor of playing around for a year. And by the way, the contract is kind of muddled. It's 3 years. We're stuck with some kind of, we don't know really specifically what the contract is. So ladies and gentlemen, let's support our law enforcement with the right tools. Let's have a chopper light up the area when these men need help.
Thank you. Adam Chant?
Can I make a comment real quick?
Sure.
I just want to make it clear that everyone understands we still have a chopper, we still have everything, that the chopper will be used in accordance with our contract, and that it's not taking away anything, it's just adding to it. So I appreciate your comments. Thanks.
Sure.
I also appreciate your comments, but I know that everyone here has been involved with, myself included, being married to a retired firefighter paramedic, and I understand the safety, and we would never jeopardize the safety of our sheriffs here. The goal is to get the bad people.
Mr. Chant?
Yes, Mayor Paris, council, staff, thank you for taking the time to listen to what I have to say. A lot of you guys know me on the capacity of owner of a business on the boulevard, but I also have a regular full-time job in the aviation flight test industry. So my words speak by intelligence and experience in the in the UAV field, not the University of Antelope Valley, but the unmanned aerial vehicle field. I worked many years for General Atomics, and now I'm in the software into the industry, so I'm very familiar with this, all the way from the sensor to the display system, literally. And a couple of issues that I had initially when I came in tonight, I expressed that I was neutral on this, and I had the opportunity to speak to Spiral and discuss these issues. But I just want to bring that up with the City Council to make note of it, that I'm concerned over the frequency usage. The flight test programs in this community are vast. It supports the community. We have a lot of flight test programs, and they require frequencies at all times. In general, frequency is allocated for a 4-hour interval. That's covered all over China Lake, Edwards, Palmdale, Graybutte, El Mirage, even Fox. So that's something that I was expressing concern over. Sproul expressed to me that the case is that they're going to be utilizing frequencies within the police department. So that's one thing that I just wanted to say. I'd like for you guys to look into that a little bit more and get some definitive information before you say yes on this. I would hate to find out that we've invested all this money as a city and discover that frequencies are just not available because you're asking for 10 hours of frequency. That's just a concern that I had. And I think that's primarily my concern. Other than that, I support it. I understand the encryption technology involved in the transmitter and receiver system. It's not likely that anybody can take advantage of that, as long as it's encrypted technology and not standard RF transmission. Of course, standard RF transmission is what the predators were famously caught being exposed to when a $25 software could actually see that video stream. Could in the past. That's been resolved now. And most encryption technologies that are available on over-the-counter transmitter and receiver systems are out there that would support the encryption that would allow for more bandwidth with less bandwidth usage and more, basically you can put more down the pipe with the technology that's out there. So I just say due diligence, I guess, and before you decide on this for sure, hopefully that's already been taken out by the city, to be careful so that we don't impact the flight test programs and things that are going on in our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Maureen Feller.
Good evening again. Fourth Amendment, the right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrant shall issue but upon probable cause, supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing that place to be searched and the person or things to be seized. I don't know if Mr. Parris would call the people that wrote that a criminal or an ultra-liberal. I guess only he could tell us that, but that was from our founding fathers. We also had Mr. Johnson up here to tell us that we need nothing, fear nothing. You know, sheriffs are not human and they will never make a mistake. We had 2 CHP employees release pictures of Nikki Katsouris's accident scene to the public. Her parents had received emails with the picture of her daughter decapitated for years afterwards. Mr. Parris actually made sure these 2 employees did not serve any time or be held responsible for leaking those pictures. There really is no guarantee. The fact that somebody can go back and look for somebody who may have done graffiti means you can go back and look in our backyards 10 hours a day, 7 days a week. Our Fourth Amendment took quite a beating after 9/11, and it appears that the city of Lancaster will be the one who will be the death knell to it. I personally think anybody who's for this is treasonous, and I think you're a traitor to our Constitution and our Bill of Rights.
Always a pleasure to hear from you, Maureen. Lindy Williams.
Thank you for taking the time. I'm kind of concerned about living in a place where we need to spend $1.3 million to feel safe. If that's really what's going on, I don't need to be here.
We actually spend over $20 million a year. We're the highest. We have the highest cost for sheriffs in the county. So 1.3
and
is.
With that, on July of this year, got the tag numbers. It was July 15th. I, the neighborhood watch block captain, got a call from my neighbors that there was a suspicious bag in the alley. It smelled like death. Where I live, on occasion, people dump animals, the refrigerator quits, you get evicted, you dump your trash. When I go to investigate, the bag's in great shape, and it smells like rotting flesh. With that, I call the police. By then, it's after the Casey Anthony is acquitted. From there, I express the concern that my neighbors have, which is they think it's a dead child. The answer that I got, and the officers shall remain nameless, but the answer that I got was, take a look. I said, are you serious? I said, I just told you I think there's a dead kid in the bag. Now, as we're spending all this money on this plane, I'm thinking that the money could be spent better elsewhere. I called Lee DeRico, tried very hard to get me some help. He tried very hard. Megan Canal tried very hard because once I talked to the sheriffs and I got the runaround, I went to the people that I trust through the city. From that, I am concerned that, just as Maureen is talking about, it's going to be used to come basically to 93534 area code, which is where I live, and pick and choose how they systematically get rid of whomever it is they want to. I do think that our safety is the most important thing, but with that, at what cost? If you get a chance, or if anybody's interested, Mayor, I would like to share this information, because for the most part, I think the cops do a great job. However, some of the ways that people are treated and mistreated really needs to be addressed, but I'll let everybody have a nice warm toasty. Thank you.
Thank you. Ed Galindo.
Mayor Burris,
Good evening.
council members, excuse my attire, didn't plan on coming up here today. I've got to voice my concerns about this eye in the skies business. First of all, they've already covered the Constitution. I think we have a problem with secure person and properties, and a witness against ourselves. Those are the two constitutional problems that you have. And I also believe that you're going to have some tort problems with this eye in the sky situation. Under section 1708.8 in parentheses B, a person is liable for constructive invasion of privacy when the defendant attempts to capture in a manner that is offensive to the reasonable person any type of visible image, sound recording, or other physical impression of the plaintiff engaged in a personal or familial activity under circumstances in which the plaintiff had a reasonable expectation of privacy. Well, I think we have a privacy problem, and I think the city is going to have a lot of lawsuits on this situation. And I think as a taxpayer, I'm opposing it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Benelda Robbins.
Good evening, all. Other than the similarities between this and The Predator and George Orwell's 1984, some of the items in the movie or book, there are serious concerns about Bob Johnson, or Mr. Johnson. He mentioned that there are, things in place to where it won't be abused. Okay, well, perhaps that's true, and perhaps it's better than what they do as far as the air patrol, because I know my house, more than once, I have had the helicopter, not when they're circling looking for specific individuals, suspects or whatever, but just drive or fly by and shine the light into my window, to the point where it's happened, I'd say 4 or 5 times in a year and a half. I'm assuming that these same people are going to be, the same sheriffs are going to be the same ones who are going to be, flying this thing or in command of this. And another thing that I have a problem with is the 2-year storage. Now, I'm not saying anybody here in Lancaster, the sheriff's department, or the city leadership is corrupt, but there are some corrupt government officials or whatever. And we, as responsible Lancaster residents of the community, the leadership, not only has to think of the now, but of the future for our community. And one thing we should think about is if there is no corruption now, there could be later on in the future. And that may include looking back, if they have a personal vendetta against somebody, they could look back at what that person was doing and perhaps go to the area where they see them go on what is truly an innocent, mission or an errand, and perhaps plant evidence, and later a friend or whatever complains of a crime that never really truly was committed. And I noticed on the little presentation there was no presentation of the heat imaging. looking into what I know about infrared technology, you can see individuals having intercourse, or in my case it would be masturbation, and nothing against anyone here, but other people in the room while I'm masturbating, that would just ruin the fantasy. And as an American citizen, I have the right to masturbate or read the Bible or clip coupons without government intrusion. And I'd like to keep it that way.
No, no one can comment. Elaine High. Mark Pearson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. After the vision I had of you laying in your backyard sunbathing, now it doesn't seem so bad. And good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, staff, council. I guess our directors are here, Captain Johnson, and fellow citizens. My name is Mark Pearson. I'm a 20-year resident of the Antelope Valley. And I'm here tonight after hearing specifically from the Sheriff's Department, because that was my only reservation. I'm here tonight to speak in support of the surveillance program known as LEAPS. Under the mayor's guidelines, crime is down 40% since 2007. It's a huge number. And using a sports analogy, it's a winning team. So it's winning, it's working, and this is just another tool to send a strong message to those that would think about committing crimes against persons and property in our city. Not here. We're going to catch you. We're going to find you. We're going to put you in jail, and we're going to keep our community safe. And I want to thank not only the sheriffs for their hard work, but the hundreds of neighborhood watch programs and people that are involved in it, like myself, that on a daily basis are out there looking for crimes and reporting it. The Spy in the Sky is not only a crimes prevention program, it's a jobs program. And the contract calls in the next 10 years to create hundreds of jobs through sales, service, and manufacturing, specific to the city of Lancaster. So that addresses the issue of the economy as well. So it looks like a win-win, and I've got to watch my time here because I wanted to talk quick about the Fourth Amendment. Since 2001, we've all had to sacrifice privacy for safety. I'm one to say, let's be safe, even if I need to give up some privacy. Maybe because I'm not doing anything wrong. I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't have said that. But I am in support of the program, and it sends a strong signal. It's a jobs program. Okay. In conclusion, I believe that this place's Lancaster leaps, pun intended, and bounds above our sister city of Palmdale, and I would encourage them to look at adopting this so that if the criminals think about crossing Avenue M and getting away from the surveillance, they're not able to. Thank you.
Thank you.
Somebody left their phone up here. Or is it? It's the city council. Anyway, on the jobs, because I just have a second, I think the city council and staff had something to do with structuring the contract to create these jobs in Lancaster, and I want to thank them for that. Am I wrong? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Elaine High. Good evening.
Good evening. I just wanted to say I'm in favor 100%. And whatever I can do or anyone I know to help you get it done. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, is that the end of the speaker cards?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, that's it on the speaker cards.
Any discussion? Motion?
Mr. Mayor, if I could, I wanted to chime in about my thoughts in regards to before we take the vote. I've spent the last 43 years in business, and the last 6 has been in the consulting side. And I see us running the city of Lancaster like a business. And we have to balance creating a safe neighborhoods in the city of Lancaster and how do we do that in the most effective, efficient way? And this is a kind of a turn of events. I think tonight several times that there was mentions made about we're right in the I guess the pioneering of technology and trying to figure out how to make sheriff's departments more efficient and our neighborhoods more safer. And I feel so happy to be a part of leveraging technology to make these neighborhoods more safer. We've heard a couple of people tonight speak about they were for the eye in the sky. And I'm sure if we actually sit down and kind of canvassed the bulk of the people today, they would say, you know, this take the technology, this use it wisely, and make our city of Lancaster just like the old days, make it safe and sound. So with that, I just wanted to express my feelings about the decisions that we're here to make tonight.
I have a comment too, if I may. I'd like to say I appreciate everyone's comments, and I also very much value privacy and respect privacy. But I just share just a little story. I was 11 years old in my neighborhood, accidentally saw a drug deal. I got jumped by a gang. 2 black eyes, 11 years old, still played with dolls. As I said, I respect privacy, but sometimes I wish we didn't have that privacy. I wish in that day we had the eye in the sky, because to this day we've never caught the gang that jumped me and gave me my 2 black eyes. So I very much support the eye in the sky.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
I'll move that we approve the acquisition and management agreement, which is A on NB2, and B, transfer the $1.3 million to the account, and C, appropriate the $1.3 million to the TDA Article 8 fund balance.
I'll second that motion.
Let's vote. It's unanimous. You want a 5-minute break? Okay. Before we do that, do we have to amend the agenda on the urgency item? Or?
Sure, we could do that right now.
Okay.
There is a need to add a closed session item to tonight's agenda under Government Code Section 54956.9A concerning pending litigation, Palmdale versus Lancaster. The matter arose subsequent to the posting of the agenda, and we do need to take action on it prior to the next meeting. And it would require a 4/5 vote to add that.
Is there a motion?
So moved. I'll second.
Let's vote.
And this is,
it's unanimous.
Mr. Mayor, this is for the agency and the city council, so maybe we ought to take a separate vote of the agency.
Mr. Christ?
Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second it.
Let's vote. And it's unanimous. Turn it back over to Mayor Paris.
Okay, let's take a 5-minute break.
Yes.
Okay, new business item 3. Any speaker cards? Yes. Okay, we'll hear from Mr. Bozigian.
It's actually going to be City Attorney Dave McEwen.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, you have before you a resolution approving certain actions in connection with the Lancaster Promenade 3 LLC project. As you're all aware, the boulevard in the last several years has grown exponentially. It is a premier destination for Lancaster, and it's largely it's largely the responsibility of a particular company, Insight Development, who, without them, we would not have the boulevard we have today. They have managed the investment that has encouraged other spin-off investment in that in the area, and I think they deserve a great deal of credit. As part of that, we have entered into agreements with Lancaster Promenade 1, Lancaster Promenade 2. Those have resulted in well over $100 million of investment in the downtown area. And they've resulted in the development of the Beck's restaurant, the underground bowling alley, Boulevard Cinemas, the completion of the Lancaster Museum and Art Gallery, among others, in the downtown area. It's been a true transformation of that boulevard. We now have an opportunity to leverage additional monies through Promenade 3. It involves roughly $6.1 million of city funds that have already been appropriated for a variety of projects in the downtown area. We're going to, in cooperation with Promenade 3, invest that money and turn that money into well over $16 million of investment as a result of the new market tax credits. That will ensure the completion of a variety of public improvements in the downtown area, as well as the development of a new public parking structure, completion of the rehabilitation of certain retail buildings, office buildings in the downtown area. And after all of that infrastructure is completed, there will be a follow-on development of a boutique hotel in the downtown area. It will be a true anchor for the boulevard improvements. We couldn't do this without Insight Development. They've been the true catalyst for that area. And if you have any questions concerning this, I forgot to mention, and the city manager is just going to chastise me for this, but part of this development is the development of 25 to 30 kiosks that will be located at strategic locations along the boulevard. Those kiosks are going to be constructed by a local company, and I believe we do have a video on the kiosks and the development at the local level to show you.
Aren't you glad I made you buy that camera?
Yes, sir. I would like to point out that is one of the exciting things. Those kiosks are being made on Lancaster Boulevard at MGS, and they're employing local people to do that. And I think people forget that for every dollar the city spends on the boulevard, private investment is $10 to $15.
So, Law, do you have a speech for us?
No, but I do want to say that this is about jobs, and it's about, this will create more than 150 construction jobs and about 80 direct or indirect jobs.
You know, Wall's one of our guardian angels. I mean, you came around just at the right time. The money you've put into this city is truly remarkable. You know, everybody thinks we did it, you know. You did it. We can't thank you enough. Okay, speaker cards? Just two. Nicole's gone. And Mark Pearson.
Thank you once again, Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council, Directors, staff, and fellow citizens. I want to tell those that haven't had the opportunity to come to downtown Lancaster to the Boulevard that it's fantastic. It's great, especially on Thursdays. Go to the farmer's market and buy healthy foods, and afterwards go get something to eat. I don't own any of those businesses. I just have really been enjoying the last couple of weeks of going down there and experiencing that with other people and seeing community members coming together. And, you know, the weather's been beautiful, so bring your jacket this Thursday because it might be a little colder. But those at home that haven't been to the Boulevard, it's a really nice setting, and I think it's a great start to what I feel is going to continue and be a fantastic project. The boutique motel and all of these other things, and I'm in support of all of that. I do have questions regarding the kiosk specifically. I want to make sure that these 25 to 30 kiosks, as unintended consequences, don't adversely affect the business operations of the brick and mortar operations. And again, I'm not a business owner down there, but the location, the number of those, and the hours of operation, we need to make sure that we don't have saturation or that they're competing in an unfair way with the brick and mortar operations, because as a business owner, to have a piece of real estate and own it and pay a mortgage on it, or whether you're renting it, it can be $5,000, $6,000, $7,000. Some of us pay even more than that a month. And so, we're putting these kiosks out there, which will bring people to the community and create, local businesses and building them. And so it's a great idea. But I just want to make sure we have plenty of thought about the location, the number, the hours of operation, that we're not placing them at places that inadvertently would hurt our business owners that have their businesses down there, because they've got a substantial investment of time and money there. So that was all. Let's make sure that the kiosks aren't competing unfairly with the brick and mortar businesses down there. Thank you.
Thank you. Ultimately, the Boulevard's a marketplace. It'll take care of itself. That's right. It's not the city's role or responsibility to get involved in that. But fortunately, the group that are putting the Boulevard together seem to have thought well in advance and planned this remarkably well. Is there a motion?
I'll move that we adopt resolution number 11-81.
I second.
Let's vote. It's unanimous. Now, if we could just get the people who designed Bex to learn how to spell. Thank you. New business, item 4.
There's no speaker cards.
No speaker cards. You want to waive the staff report? Is there a motion?
I'll move that we introduce ordinance number 972 and adopt resolution number 11-80.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Let's vote. Okay. Joint new business.
There's no speaker cards on that either, Mr. Mayor.
Is there a motion?
I'll move that we adopt resolution number 11-79 and resolution number PA02-11.
I'll second.
Now, does this include the redevelopment agency?
No.
Okay. Oh, it's the power. Okay. Let's vote. Senator, Mr. Vote. It's unanimous. Is Nancy Acosta here? Okay, sorry. Somehow the card got buried. Okay, thank you. Okay, CA item number 2. Newton Shillette's here. Newton Shillette is renowned at the college for his athletic program. When he was the basketball coach, we won championship after championship after championship. He's principally responsible for that beautiful athletic field, making that happen, and revamping the entire sports program. And so it's an honor to appoint him to the Criminal Justice Commission. He's agreed to serve, and we look forward to the council approving him, because I'm now nominating him. Any speaker cards?
No speaker cards on that, Mr. Mayor.
Is there a motion?
I'll second that nomination.
Let's vote. So we got to swear you in. Come on up.
You'll raise your right hand and repeat after me using your name.
I, Newton Gillette,
Do solemnly swear
that
I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
I will bear true faith and allegiance
I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California.
and the Constitution of the State of California.
I take this obligation freely
I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion.
or purpose of evasion.
I will well and faithfully discharge
I will well and faithfully discharge
the duties upon which I am about to enter.
the duties upon about which I'm about to enter.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Newt, you want to introduce your family, and let's get some pictures. Over here.
Well, the lady that keeps me out of trouble, Anna Thomas, my fiancée,
You could do a better job.
my youngest daughter, Kelly, and my son, Brady, who is also a Los Angeles County Sheriff's Deputy.
Did you get this out of it?
Congratulations, Newt, and everything that you do for the community. We really appreciate it.
Last time I saw those kids, they were about this high. What happened? Okay, moving on. Can I make the appointments tonight on the remainder?
You need to do Part B on CA2.
Oh, that's right. And the appointment of the vice chair to the Criminal Justice Commission will be Tim Fuller. Okay, good. And do I have to announce it tonight, or can we actually do the nominations and appointments tonight of the of Marilyn Norris, Michelle Shaver, Rebecca Smith to the Lancaster Performing Arts Center Foundation Board of Directors? Let's find out.
I think with the Performing Arts Foundation, you make the initial nomination, and then it gets reviewed, the interviews, and then it comes back to you for the final. Have they already done that?
We've already done that?
Okay. Yeah. Then you
Okay,
can
so
make
then
the
I'm
final.
nominating them tonight. Is there a second?
Second.
Let's vote. It's unanimous. And are you guys present? Yes. Lou, do you want to introduce him? Lou's the president of the foundation and has been responsible for keeping it going and raising millions of dollars for the Lancaster Performing Arts Center. And now we're expanding into other areas of the arts.
Thank you, Mayor, City Council, Mark Bozigan. Michelle Shaver is a new director. Thank you, Council. And Becky Smith. They're going to be a great asset to our foundation, and they're going to do many, many wonderful things. They have a lot of passion, they have a lot of experience, and a lot of really great ideas. So theater, we're going to help you a lot more than we have in the past.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to the Financing Authority, there's no action. City Manager. Yes.
Just one announcement. We have a couple pictures of the crowd that was at Boulevard, and I wanted to have Luke put those up. But I wanted to mention one thing. Dennis Anderson, the editor of the Antelope Valley Press, had talked about some crowd estimates and how we do it, and we decided to take a scientific approach this time. We had up from the museum, took a picture of if you can get it up, we took a picture of the crowd, which is pretty remarkable, and then had one of our staffers, Brian, count a particular area, how many people were in that area, and they couldn't count kids because their heads are low. Then they expanded that out over the whole length of the boulevard, reducing the amount as it got towards the end, and determined that at that one point in time there was somewhere between 24 and 27,000 people on the boulevard at that one time. You figure in an event, you flip it over at least once, you have people coming and going and stuff. Believe it or not, our crowd estimate of 35,000 might have been light. So we decided to take the challenge, and there was a lot of people there, and it was a great time. I thank our Parks Department for leading it up, but our Public Works crews and all the volunteers from all the departments did a very nice job on that.
Did we keep a list of those people who said that Boulevard was never going to work?
I have one in my office.
Mr. Mayor, a question I would raise, is that the one single event that's ever garnered that kind of people? I think, and I have a sneaky suspicion we're probably not too far off.
The question is that the largest crowd?
One single one-night event from a standpoint of gathering of people. I think we might have set a record.
We believe that's the case. This is our largest event. As I was joking for the mayor, we remember from the 1970s when 7 students from AV High School streaked along the boulevard, and that might have been a close second to that.
Were you one of those? Well, aren't we opening up tonight?
I was not one.
If we only had eye in the sky then.
Thank God we didn't. City Clerk?
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the time for any person who would like to address the Redevelopment Agency or the City Council on non-agendized matters. You'll find speaker cards at the back of the council chamber.
Mr. Mayor, I just have one comment. There's been much said about the amendment in the Constitution tonight, and I'd just like to take an opportunity as a veteran of the United States Air Force to say thank you for those veterans that have fought to keep those constitutional rights for our citizens. So just wanted to say Happy Veterans Day for Friday.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to recess for closed session, and we'll be back. We're back on. City Attorney.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, the City Council and the Redevelopment Agency met in closed session under Government Code Section 54956.9A concerning Palmdale versus Lancaster, and gave direction to City Attorney concerning the handling of that case.
Thank you. Redevelopment Agency.
The Redevelopment Agency is adjourned until Tuesday, December 13th, 2011.
We are adjourning the City Council meeting in memory of a valued friend, a loving father, and a devoted husband. Mike Shibley brought a sense of community and pride to everything he did. He was a knowledgeable employee of the City of Lancaster. He was extremely customer service oriented, well liked by his peers, and a charmer all the way around for all of us. He was a city parks maintenance worker, maintained Jane Reynolds and Eastside Parks, volunteered at the Poppy Festival and the Aerospace Walk of Fame. Once he jumped in while working at a city park to protect a citizen and was jumped by a group of thugs, I guess. But he got in a few licks on his own. He worked for the city for 22 years, beginning work in December of 1989. In September 2002, Mike joined the Public Works Department. As a Public Works Inspector, Mike further proved himself and was promoted, worked with Development and Capital Engineering divisions, recently worked on several high-profile city projects, lead inspector on the extension of the city's recycled water mainline extension to City Park. Mike was an integral part of the city construction and inspection team for the Boulevard project, which fortunately he lived to see completed. He recently passed away unexpectedly, and to commemorate Mike's friends here at City Hall, we have sponsored a tree that is planted on the boulevard in his honor, and we are closing the meeting in his honor tonight. The City Council, the Housing Authority, the Redevelopment Agency next meeting will, wait a minute. What did you put in my script here? Pursuant to action taken by the City Council Authority Redevelopment Agency on August 9th, there will not be a City Council Redevelopment Agency Authority meeting on November 22nd. I get it. Couldn't we have done that easier? 2011. The City Council meeting, obviously for Thanksgiving, the City Council meeting is adjourned until Tuesday, December 13th, 2011. And then I assume we will be closed for Christmas too? Okay, good. Carol, I'm coming home and I'm starving.